994, the talk of Central Queensland. Joining me in the studio this afternoon, candidate for Keppel for One Nation, James Ashby. James, how are you?
Good, Tom. Nice weather, hey?
Beautiful weather at the moment. I'd imagine it's lovely down on the coast.
Oh, yeah, but Rocky's just as good.
Yes, fair enough.
Best time for Rocky at this time of the year.
Absolutely. Hey, big news over the past week. We had, of course, the federal budget. Just on the back of that, what did you make of that for our region?
Well, there's a really recognisable absence of funding for anything, roads, the infrastructure down here. Is I keep saying to people, back in early 2000s, we were told that we wouldn't reach 25 million Australians until the mid-2040s. We have far surpassed that as it is. And this is why we've got so many issues with congestion on our roads, why we haven't got the money to actually go in there and repair the Bruce Highway, because we're at 27 million people. We haven't planned for the expansion of this country, and yet everything is failing, from hospitals to education to general infrastructure and, of course, housing. That's the biggest thing. And you speak to anyone around here and they continue to say their rents go up. And while immigration continues to be so high in this country, we are going to continue to see a rate rise on rental properties and a price increase on anyone trying to buy a property.
There was a big campaign over the past couple of months. I know Aaron was very vocal about it whenever he had the Prime Minister on. The papers got behind it as well about the Bruce Highway and the state of the Bruce Highway at the moment. I know you've voiced your opinion about that as well. But James, particularly, and I know I focus on it quite a bit because I've lost family members on this part of the road between Rocky and Gladstone. It's just horrendous. The amount of crashes that we see there, it's becoming sort of a blight on our area, this patch of road.
Well, we're using the train network less and less to do heavy haulage freight. So we've got a hell of a lot more trucks on our roads. They're not helping because we haven't designed our roads to take the volume of trucks. So that's where a lot of the destruction's coming from. I'm not blaming the truck companies because they're doing what they have to do to get produce from up north all the way down to the southeast corner. But we should have been investing in more rail across this state. We haven't had someone plan like Sir Joby Occupedison did all those years ago. Since he's gone, nobody else has planned for the future of this state and for the country. And where we've been left today is a failed road network. All you have to do is have a look at the two major arteries that run from Rocky into either Emu Park or Yeppoon. Those roads are decaying at a rapid rate too. I know we've had some works done on them, but the problem is the money that was allocated to do the works was supposed to duplicate the entire stretch from Rockhampton to Yeppoon when that funding was first allocated. Because the state government sat on their hands, didn't do anything, the money was handed over from the federal government. They sat on their hands, didn't do the works. Now there's only enough money to do 1/3 of that project. So we're going to, again, be complaining another 5-10 years down the track that the roads aren't coping, that we haven't had the infrastructure put in place, and it's all because we've had a lazy Labor Party who've done nothing for this area again.
Well, this links back into the state government as we await details about the state budget. But there has been an announcement recently, and you were just telling me this off air, that they will run a deficit.
Yep.
It's quite hard to wrap your head around that fact.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise debt and deficit are two different things. We have a significant debt that's been run up under the Labor government, but a deficit is when you spend more than what you earn. And that is what they've done. Despite the tens of billions of dollars that have been collected from coal royalties and flushed all the way down to the southeast corner, they've still managed to spend more than what they've collected. And so again this year, we'll see another deficit. And what have we got for it? Well, not much, certainly not in this area. And we're going to be paying higher interest for longer on that money that's outstanding as a state. And this is the tragedy of what Labor bring to Queensland. This is what Labor bring right across the country. Worse still in Victoria, worse still in other states like WA. And we can't tolerate this forever. Someone has to act fiscally responsible in this state. Now, we've seen debt racked up under the coalition, but that was for good reason. We had COVID on a national level. But there's certainly a hell of a lot more fiscal responsibility from conservative parties like One Nation, and that's the approach we'll take.
We have this three-headed monster as well in the corner of the Olympics. coming up as well, isn't it? And it would stun anyone if there was no funding whatsoever from here out on the Olympics. So there is still that elephant in the room, isn't there?
Sure. And the thing that I look at with the Olympics, though, forget the spectators. You get a better view on telly.
Yep.
If you want to go to the Olympics when it's held in Brisbane, there's no way we can pull out of it at this point. All I say is host the Olympics, but just spend the money on making the surface appropriate for the sports people. Make sure it's up to Olympic standard. But as for the stadium, there's nothing wrong with the cricket ground. There's nothing wrong with Suncorp Stadium. There's nothing wrong with any of our stadiums across any region. Yeah, you may not be able to fit as many in as what you'd like to, but just make sure the surface is right for the players or the sports people, and that's it. Stop with the unnecessary spending.
Absolutely. And I think it would just take half an hour to go and Google some of the places where the Olympics have been held and what's happened to those stadiums since, because not a lot of them being used since.
No, and there hasn't been a modern Olympics that has run either at a break-even point or made money.
James, good to see you.
Good to see you, mate.
You're listening to 990 4RO.